Hello and welcome to the Jester's Court. I am your host, Mike, and with me, as always, is our co-host Jay. How's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
It's been a fairly uneventful week. Um, Work has been busy. I've been doing a lot of outreach stuff, which you know,
Yeah.
and I have a funny story since the last time we recorded, and I don't think I told you this story, so it's gonna be me telling you and our audience.
Oh boy.
I was at an event in
Mhm.
Santa Rosa County, which is
Mhm.
over here by Milton, where we live.
Mhm.
And there's this woman walking around with the press with
Mhm.
Channel 3 News, and I thought she was a correspondent. I've never seen her before. I didn't know who she was, and she comes up to the table with a volunteer, and they're like, "This is so and so," and I'm like, half invested. It's a person from the media, and they didn't have the camera on, so I'm like, "Hey, whatever." And the volunteer, I think, picked up on this and goes, "She's the mayor," and I'm like, "Oh." And the only thing my dumbass brain could think to say is, I don't live in Milton.
No. You did that to the mayor of Milton?
Yep.
Oh boy.
So that was my shining moments there.
You're awesome. You're doing great.
I did meet the mayor of Pensacola, and I did know who he was. So
Right.
you know,
I mean, they're politics. Politicians. Who cares? Anyway, that's a funny story though. I like that.
you like that? I've been saving it. I didn't mean to save it from you, but I realized as I was setting it up, I'm like, I don't think I've told Jay this at all.
Well, you did. That was good.
uh, so this week we're going to talk about it's another one of the nostalgic Mike films.
Mhm.
I loved it. It came out. It's been 20 years now, but it was a great movie, and it always got so much flack. We're talking about Titan AE tonight.
Nice. Yeah, that was a movie from the 2000s.
And just so you guys know, I don't usually pick the title of the episode, much less mention it while we're talking. But in this case, I'm going to, just so you get the inflection right. The title of this episode is "I'm Matt Damon."
Really?
Yes.
Wow. All right. Well, let's get into it.
Yeah. All right. So before we get too far, we do have some awesome patrons I want to shout out. We have Mr. Kyle Keir, Mr. Derek Diamond, Robert Hood, Rob Mann
Rob
himself,
Man.
Rob Mann, and our everyone's favorite in our little circle of podcasts, Mr. Carlos Longoria. I am the Rampage.
Rampage.
As a patron, you get early ad-free access to episodes, as well as monthly commentary tracks and Saturday morning cartoons. You guys, if you want to be a patron, all you have to do is head on over to patreon.com/thejesterscourt. Tiers start as low as $3 a month. And if, hey, money's tight, we get that. Trust me. If you want to show your support, man, just give us a rating. Share the show with your friends. It goes a long way.
Like and subscribe.
So now it's that time where we're going to go off and watch the movie, and we will be back.
Cool. Let's go do this.
And we are back. Tonight we are talking, as I said, about Titan AE, released by Fox Animation Studios in 2000. It was directed by Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, and starring Matt Damon, Bill Pullman, John Leguizamo, Nathan Lane, Janine Garofalo, and Drew Barrymore.
There's some
I-
more names in there, but
I-
these
It's
are the big
basically,
hitters.
yeah, big hitters is the right word, because it's basically everyone who was cool and big in the 90s.
In the 90s, right? They were like, oh my God. And you know what? They even gave Kale, like the main character, Kale, has got Matt Damon's 90s haircut.
Yes.
Pretty much everybody in the fucking movie has the 90s haircut. But anyway.
It had a $105 million budget. That's counting about $30 million that they spent while this was going to be a live action film, and then they changed their mind. So, $105 million budget. It made a dismal $23 million US, and it's sitting at 50% on the tomato meter on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
This movie is blamed for the closing of Fox Animation Studios, which shut down 10 days after the movie opened. But I don't think that's really fair.
No, because let's just be honest, Fox Animation Studios fucked themselves over.
Yeah, yes, especially in this production. But that is stuff we're going to get to. Do you have any initial thoughts before we get into the rundown?
Yeah, I do have some thoughts. Did you know that I'm a huge Don Bluth fan?
I did not know that, but hearing it, I am not surprised because
You're
he
not
did like
surprised.
Anastasia, which I think would be right up your alley.
Anastasia, but my favorite movie by Don Bluth has always been All Dogs Go to Heaven. The original, not any of the other ones. But that in The Land Before Time, he has a very distinct animation style, right? Or not just that, but he sticks with the same like the same artist, right, for his animation. Especially in the 90s. So you could always tell which ones were that. But I mean, the way that he directed people to have their inflections and everything or that are all very similar. But yes, I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't see this movie when it came out. I just saw it this morning. Whenever you said, let's go watch the movie. And then we went and watched the movie. That was the first time I'd ever seen this movie ever, period, the end. But I was real happy because I love Don Bluth movies. They're all great, in my opinion.
And this one as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you ready to do the rundown?
Let's do it.
You haven't been able to make fun of my rundowns for a while, so let's give you some opportunity.
Okay.
So the Titan
I'm
Project.
already. I'm looking at the notes and I'm just sitting here going, God. But go ahead.
So we open on Earth. They're working on the Titan Project, which is just alluded to. It's going to be like the next greatest thing for humanity, which brings the alien bad guys, the Dredge.
No. That's not how it went. They built the Titan Project because of the Dredge. The Dredge were coming and are a huge.
No, see, I'm pretty sure they were a target because of the Titan Project.
No. That's not it at all. The humanity was a target, and they built the Titan Project. They built the Titan Project because it's Noah's Ark in space.
Or the Genesis Project from Star Trek.
Yeah, in space. Right. So anyway, but just to correct you, no, the Dredge were already coming.
So anywho, I don't remember it well enough to argue this further, so we will continue.
Okay.
The movie does open with a young Kale playing in a stream, and then the shenanigans start happening. The Dredge are attacking, Earth is being evacuated. Kale's dad leaves him with Tech, which is the gentleman you were talking about that I did not get his name for the starring in. But as Jay pointed out before we recorded, it is the gentleman who was from Bebe's Kids.
Yeah. We don't die, we multiply. Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
So Kale's dad gives him his ring. You don't really know the significance, but you feel like, oh, this is a big thing. We see Kale's dad, Tucker. He goes down to a secret facility. And I wrote in my notes, Holy Alderaan, Batman. The Titan launches right as the Dredge destroy the entire planet.
Oh, it's just like the Death Star.
There are a few Star Wars parallels.
Yes.
So it cuts to Kale all grown up. He's voiced by, as we said, I'm Matt Damon. And some 90s rock music.
Oh my God, but the soundtrack to this movie was pretty terrible.
I hate, we're going to talk about this, but I hate whenever you start putting in pop music instead of a score, it's a bad call.
Right.
Because the pop music will not age.
It will not age well, no. But anyway, let's go.
So Kale works as a scrapper in space. You know, he's just cutting up stuff. I did write a note. Again, not in the listing, but Jim Cummings, who voices Pete from Disney, he apparently at least has one line because I recognize his voice when they call lunch. It's Pete. It's Pete from Disney.
Nice.
Which is Jim Cummings. It's pretty clear very early on in the movie that humans are very lowly regarded. They're vermin. The cockroach calls them cockroaches. So, you know. Kale bumps into Akima, which is Drew Barrymore, from outside their ship. And when I say bumps into, he runs into their ship.
And he's like looking down, and then she looks up, and he starts like wiping the window like a hobo, and she's like, and then like shuts the
Down below in the scrapper station, we see Kale run into some thugs who do not like him, and they aggressively have a chat, which is broken up by Corso, voiced by Bill Pullman, who
my God. Sorry.
Who, by the way, no, breakaway performance, and this is in my notes for later too, but he is probably the outstanding performance of this movie.
Yes, he is. I mean, you can tell it's Bill Pullman. Number one, okay, here's another fun fact about Jay. I love Bill Pullman. Did you know that?
I did.
Did you know I'm a huge Bill Pullman fan?
Yes.
I am a huge Bill Pullman fan. So the minute I heard his voice, I was like, there you are, you rat bastard. But he did so good. He did so good. Like, there were times when I was like, the only thing about you, Kale, is that you sound like Matt Damon. And Like it's nothing stellar. And Drew Barrymore, they should not have casted Drew Barrymore as the voice of an Asian person, but they did. And then here comes Bill Pullman, and I'm just like, oh, great, it's so good now. This was the icing on the cake of this movie. Bill Pullman.
I will
Anyway,
point out, just to relegate the, yes, you shouldn't have cast her as a Asian person, but I want to make sure everyone understands she was not trying to pull off an Asian accent or anything like that.
No. Right.
Well, given the time frame, these are sins that people might have assumed.
Right. You gotcha.
So yeah, Corso invites him on a mission to save humanity. Kale says no because he's essentially Han Solo. And Akima breaks in on comms to say that they have Dredge company. We cut to Tech and Kale back in the cafeteria, and Corso joins them. He knows Tech, who pushes Kale to join the mission. You kind of get you know this as the viewer, so I didn't note it, but I'm going to say it now, just if you're listening. Tech and Corso, you see them at the beginning of the movie, interacting with Dad, a younger version. So these are his dad's peeps. Corso does show Kale that his dad's ring is a map to the Titan. It's tagged to his DNA. The Dredge enter the cafe and tell me they don't look like Geth.
They do kind of look like Geth.
They're pure energy, so they're energy,
not. Right.
But they look like Geth.
A little bit, yeah.
Our heroes escape by killing the gravity. Everyone floats around. It's a great visual scene, ruined by some more 90s rock.
Yeah.
Again, score, people. Put a score in. All aboard the Valkyrie, which is Corso's ship. Kale wakes up. Oh, I read that backwards. But yeah, Kale wakes up on Corso's ship, the Valkyrie. He meets Akima for real this time, along with Creed, who's voiced by Nathan Lane, as we mentioned. Akima is patching up his wound. They head over to navigation, where we meet Goon, who is voiced by John Leguizamo, who I love in anything.
John Leguizamo does great, even when he's doing like these crazy weird voices.
And this one, when I was researching the movie, I saw an interview with him, and like he had to rest his voice for weeks after this. Like the strain of doing this voice was that heavy. But I'll say about John Leguizamo what Kevin Smith has famously said about Ben Affleck. You could cast him as the shark in Jaws, and I would watch it.
Yeah, that's pretty much true.
They use the map on Kale's ring to plot a course. For whatever reason, it's just giving you one thing at a time. So it's like the first step, and that's where they go. En route, Corso gives the patriotic speech. Kale threatens to bail, and if he doesn't like how things are going, again, very Han Solo.
Right.
We arrive at, I forgot how to pronounce this planet, Shishiram is what I'm going to say. That's our first stop, and they're looking for the ghoul.
Okay.
Who apparently are bird-like creatures who don't speak. But they do show him how to hold up his hand, which is the map, to the stars, and then you see the map kind of like twist and do a new thing, and it gives him a next set of coordinates.
Okay.
That victory is very short-lived as the Dredge attack. How did they find him, you wonder? And we're on the run again, aided by the ghoul. This scene really shows... I wrote this scene really shows the limitation of the hand-drawn graphics. It didn't look super well.
Right.
This movie is a blend, which I think we have mentioned later, but basically the main characters are CGI. Everything else is hand-drawn.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so if you watch this scene, the background, it's very obvious it's hand-drawn, and it really doesn't work. Kale and Akima are captured by the Dredge, with the rest of the ship following them in the Valkyrie. On the Dredge ship, Kale is tortured, and they scan the map, finding the location of the Titan, or at least the very next step in the plan. The Dredge launch Akima into space, but keep Kale. We cut the Corso on a trader's ship, where apparently they have found Akima in the possession of slavers. The plan fails that they had, so backup violence ensues. They get her back. Meanwhile, on the Dredge ship, Kale escapes his prison. On the Dredge ship, he hears the leader say they're going to eliminate the human species, which is, not good. And he escapes in a Dredge fighter. We cut back to our crew, who have somehow found Kale in the vastness of space. I really don't get that, but, plot holes. We'll just... Hey, look, we found him. Somehow Akima now likes Kale, and I feel like we got some scenes cut out.
Right.
because
So at this point, because at first she kind of hated him.
yeah, and now she's very much liking him, and it's a very quick thing. And I'm pretty sure there's some scenes on the cutting room floor
There's
somewhere.
some, yeah. We're missing something. We're missing a piece of the puzzle right there.
But the race is on. Who will get to the Titan first?
Right.
On the way, we have some father-son moments between Kale and Corso, and more '90s rock as they fly with some of Wake Angels, which are like space dolphins. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say this time the song fits the mood and it actually works. If you
Um.
remember the scene where they're flying with the Wake Angels, and
Mm-hmm.
it works.
Mm.
I sense some disagreement. We arrive at a drifter colony called New Bangkok.
Mm-hmm.
They're after supplies. Kale and Akima overhear Corso talking to a dredge. So he's a
He's
bad
not
guy.
talking to a dredge. He's talking to the
The
dredge
dredge.
mothership.
So
Right.
it's revealed it's a double cross. They're caught eavesdropping, and Corso monologues long enough for them to escape, but Akima is shot in the process. On the station, we see Akima getting help by the locals. We have our hero's turning point moment and music montage of fixing a junker ship, which is exactly how I wrote that. It's literally the hero's journey. Like, this is when I'm going to stop being Han Solo and I'm Luke. And then they do a musical montage of him fixing up a junker ship. Again, how in the world they do this and still have time to fly to the next location at the same time as the Valkyrie is totally unclear. But, it works. Plot holes. Speaking of the Valkyrie, we cut to them already at the Ice Nebula looking for the Titan. And as I said, we enter Akima and Kale, who, again, I don't know how they made it there at the exact same time, but whatever. The crew follows them secretly. In the nebula, Kale's map lights up, but there's trouble. They see the Valkyrie following them. And after some hide and seek in the ice, Kale and Akima make a run for it. They do get away briefly, so free of Corso, they find the Titan hidden in the ice. On board the Titan, we find out that Kale's ring is more than a map. It's basically the key to the Titan. When he inserts it, everything powers up. But outside, the Valkyrie has caught up with them. Corso
right.
and Preet try to dispatch Stick and Goon, which is our... I haven't mentioned Stick yet, but Stick is the voiced by Janine Garofalo, and she plays like the weapons person.
Mm-hmm.
So Corso and Preet are in on the thing. Stick and Goon are not. So they try to get rid of Stick and Goon because they're starting to figure out something's up. There's an explosion on the ship. We don't know what happens. We'll find out later. Meanwhile, the dredge have arrived. Preet and Corso are on the Titan, and Kale is watching a video of his father telling him that they need more power to make the ship work. Corso makes it to the bridge, and Kale pleads with him, and it's a triple cross. Preet is now double-crossing Corso and everyone else, and he's going to be the one who takes him in. So we come back to the Valkyrie, and thanks to Goon, who did survive, at least briefly. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So Goon saves Stick, basically, and dies shortly thereafter.
Mm-hmm.
Back on the Titan, a fight breaks out.
Mm-hmm.
Preet's prisoners escape, which includes Corso. No, I'm sorry, does not include Corso. Corso dispatches Preet and moves on Kale. They fight. Corso falls off the ledge. And despite him being a bad guy, Kale does try to catch him. Stick joins him on the Titan just as the dredge attack. Kale has a plan. The dredge are pure energy, and he's going to use them to power the Titan, which is kind of cool. But of course, one of the doohickeys doesn't work. So Kale has to go outside as the dredge fighters move in, and the ladies cover him. While Corso, you see, is slowly making his way from where he fell. And then, wait, Goon lives. He's flying the Valkyrie to help. Outside, Kale is met by Corso. But now, I guess because of the double cross, but the triple cross, Corso is like, no, I'm on your side now. Again, it kind of feels like unearned, but Corso is now on the side of good. He sacrifices himself to save the rest. The doohickey is fixed. Kale makes it back to control just in time to beat the dredge weapon, powering the Titan and destroying the dredge. A planet is created, day is saved, and credits. And by the way, the planet's name is Bob.
This is the stupidest dialogue. He's like, I thought we'd call it Bob.
Um, so there's our movie. To me, it really still holds up. But let's see what some of the complaints are. Predictable, flat. It's like watching other people play a video game, ripped off other themes. Uh, okay, there are a lot of Star Wars references.
So many.
There's even a line when they get into the ship he built, the one you showed the montage of him putting together, and it doesn't move right away.
Mm-hmm.
Did you catch Akira has Leia's line from Star Wars?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Would you like me to get out and push?
Yeah.
There's a lot of Star Wars parallels, but
Yes.
is any you go back to that argument of is anything truly new these days, especially in sci-fi? I don't hold it against them for that, and I didn't feel like it felt flat. Predictable, yes, it's a hero's journey, but it's predictable like Star Wars is predictable. I don't know. What do you think?
They ripped off a ton of themes. They did. It was a good movie. I'm not going to sit there and say it wasn't a good movie. It was a really good movie, but you're watching it and you're just like, that's, to me, it felt like Fox went, you know what? These are all the good parts of all the things we like, and we're just going to take all of them and smash them into one movie, and then put Matt Damon as the.
There's many decades of Hollywood doing that to good results.
That's true.
We have Friday the 13th because a producer watched Halloween and said, "Make me one of those."
Yeah, but then we also have monstrosities out there like 50 Shades of Grey and Twilight. that were done off of people going, you know what, I can make a fan fiction that's kind of like that, and then it turned into their own thing, and then they're terrible.
Fair. Other big complaint we have here is the characters have no depth. Here's the thing.
He's kind of right.
Well, here's the thing. He's right and he's wrong. Well, it's not a he. Yeah. It's a general consensus. But
right.
Kale, as I've mentioned many times, is a Han Solo ripoff completely, and is pretty weakly acted. It's ironic that Matt Damon, who has probably had the most success after this movie,
gives such the worst, a good actor.
But he gave the worst performance. And I feel like maybe he wasn't comfortable or familiar with doing voice acting.
That's probably it too. I thought Akima was very weak as well. Drew Barrymore, this is a very unpopular opinion, but I don't think Drew Barrymore is a very good actress. I don't. As a child, she was a great actress, right? But as she got to be older, it's this, okay, who's one of those actors out there that it's the same person in every single movie?
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, Nicolas Cage, Drew Barrymore. She's the same in every single movie, right? So to this, Matt Damon and Drew Barrymore were the weakest links in this. And Janine Garofalo did better. She had like 3 lines.
Yeah, she didn't have a whole lot of lines. And at this point, she wasn't even much of an actress. She was a stand-up comedian.
Exactly.
I may have to back that line up. I don't remember when she got big in movies, but
well, it was definitely before 2000, but anyway.
It definitely had less of a career than Matt Damon.
Right.
But now let's talk about the ones who did well. Bill Pullman, to me, best performance of the movie.
Best performance of the movie. And that's not just because I'm a huge Bill Pullman fan. No, he did a really good job.
He did a really good job with the father-son moments. He did a really good job with the transition to I'm a bad guy, I'm not a bad guy. Like all of it was performed very well. Also,
if you notice, I mean, he sounds like Bill Pullman because he is Bill Pullman, but he changed Corso's voice just a little bit, right? So there was this like gravelly nature that Bill Pullman does not normally have as he was playing Corso. So he did give like this character his own. He did give the character his own like personality and stuff. So he did a great job. He and John Leguizamo, perfect for the role.
Which is what my next highlight is John Leguizamo, which again, huge fan of him, but he did so well with Goon.
Yeah.
So well that you didn't even know, it may have been before we were recording, but you asked me who did John Leguizamo voice in this because you didn't even know that was him.
Like, you know that guy, what's his name? Alan. Come on, Mike. He was in your favorite fucking show.
Wait, who?
He's John Leguizamo and the guy that I'm trying to Alan Tudyk.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He and John Leguizamo, they're sometimes in roles and you can't ever fucking tell. Like, for example, Alan Tudyk, he was the chicken in Moana. Did you know that?
Yes, I did. But that's because I'm a huge fan of his. Wash.
Right.
So, as I mentioned in the beginning, this movie has been blamed for killing Fox Animation Studios.
Mm.
So I thought we'd take a second and talk about what went wrong, and do we think it was the movie's fault the studio failed, or the other way, or vice versa.
Let's go.
So, in the middle of production, Fox here went through a massive downsizing. They cut 300 staff members in 1999 while this film was in production, forcing a lot of the film to be worked on by outside studios, which causes two things. One, it means you're paying more money for it.
Right.
Two, you have people who are outside the production, which means they don't have they're not in it. They don't understand what's going on. You know what I mean? You're going to get less of it's not going to be as good, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then they marketed it as a family movie. And part of that was because it's the 90s.
Yeah.
Part of that's because it's the 90s and it's a cartoon.
And it was animated.
But this is not really a family movie. It's not a family movie, but it's more hard sci-fi to me. And I think by marketing it as a family movie and not science fiction, they lost out on a lot of audience that would have seen this in theaters. People like me. What do you think?
Yeah. I don't think it was a family movie. Mm-mm. Not at all.
If you're watching on the YouTube, you see our cat who has just joined me aggressively.
Anyway.
So, despite that, let's talk about what we did like.
I do want to say, though, that one of the things I hate most about Fox Studios is their ability to blame. Listen, Fox Studios was one of those studios that, like, every time something was good, they got rid of it, right? Like, how many times did they dump Family Guy and Futurama?
Oh, if you back up, not just animation, Fox in general. Firefly. We were just talking about Alan Tudyk. Firefly canceled after one season. Space Above and Beyond canceled after one season.
The Tick was a great fucking show.
Fox is notorious for just canceling shit that has a huge cult following.
Yes, like they get this cash cow and they're just like, you know what? Never mind. I mean, they got started out with, Seth MacFarlane and all of his shows, and they get one season and they're like, you know what? This isn't making us money. And then it has a huge following and makes tons of money. And they're like, wait.
Meanwhile, Married with Children gets like 900 seasons, and I like Married with Children, but did we really need that many?
Or let's go a little bit further and talk about The Simpsons, okay? Yes, I am a huge Simpsons fan.
But they're still on the air.
They're still going. They're still going.
Futurama got 3 seasons, which is like not even a quarter of The Simpsons.
Right, exactly. Just Fox Studios, you're the worst. You're the fucking worst. And then when you do put out a movie, it's usually a mediocre movie. I hate to tell you this.
Yeah, they're not my favorite.
They're not great. Let's go.
Let's talk about some things that we liked about this film. Me personally, and you didn't see that. This is hard looking through today's lens because you see this stuff now. But back at the time, having Drew Barrymore, a female fighter pilot, that was not a thing. That was not a thing.
First Leela. No. When would Futurama come out? I need to know.
I didn't say she was the first. I just said you didn't see a lot of it. As I mentioned before, they blended CGI and hand drawn, and for the most part, with the exception of that scene that I pointed out, it was very visually impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I always like when sci-fi movies try to give accurate science, and they did that with yes, they're faster than light ships, but they also have maneuvering thrusters, and the scene with the gravity went off. They did the science correctly. So those are the things I like. How about you?
Yes, I will give it that. Yes.
But I meant the things that you like now.
Oh, sorry.
But thank you for agreeing with me. It does not happen all the time.
No, it does not happen all the time. I thought, okay, so I'm a huge fan of these like movies and shows and stuff that have this like cyclic nature. For example, Mass Effect, one of my very favorite games out there, and it's because it's cyclic, right? So we have but without giving up too much of Mass Effect, it goes in cycles. So this to me seemed very cyclic like that, and so it just kind of filled that. I think this would probably have been the first one of those that I can really put my finger on, except maybe the Never Ending Story.
Yeah.
So anyway, I like that. And you're right. There was accurate science. It was visually impressive in some areas. And it was a Don Bluth film. So
Yes. And you have to
anyway.
remember with the blending CGI and hand drawn, this juncture CGI was obviously a thing, but it was also still very expensive.
Oh, so it was so expensive, right?
I also like, and this is just because I'm a Firefly geek and we've been talking about him, but
The blending of the cultures.
yeah, that which is a theme that you see in Firefly, basically future of humanity and
Mm-hmm.
all these cultures mixed together. You don't get Chinese curse words, but
Yeah. Anyway,
So all in all, I think we're in
and
agreement.
Fracken, but that
Fracken.
Fracken.
That
What
Fracken
was
was
that?
not from Firefly, but
Was that Galactica?
yes.
Anyway,
So I think we're in agreement here. It's a great movie. Go watch
it
it.
is a good movie. Go watch it.
I wish it was free, but it's not. But you can rent it for like $3 on Amazon.
It's on Amazon. Actually, you know what? If you can rent it for $3 or buy it for $5, buy it.
Oh wow, was it really only $5?
Yeah, it's only $5.
I wish I had seen that since we rented it twice. Someone didn't watch it in the 48-hour window.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Ah, all right. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
So, fun facts. Because this film did not do well at the box office, 20th Century Fox closed its animation studios in Arizona after only 2 feature films. The other one was Anastasia, which we mentioned. Fox then contacted Blue Sky Studios to produce animated films using 3D computer graphics, including Ice Age and robots. So Fox, as we've talked about, shot themselves in the foot, and now they have to pay other people to do their cartoons.
Yep.
The Death Star is part of the new Bangkok Drifter colony. Did you catch it?
No.
There's a Death Star. Basically, the Drifter colony, for those who haven't seen the movie yet, it's a bunch of, it looks like a bunch of ships that got put together, which is something you see in some sci-fi occasionally. The 100 comes to top of my mind, where a bunch of separate ships were like fused together to make a place to live. Well, one of those ships is the Death Star. This one I kind of already ruined because I mentioned it. Akima's line to Kale, "Would it help if I got out and pushed?" was spoken by Princess Leia Organa to Han Solo in Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, in the exact same context. It was just a stolen line. Oh, this is a good one because you're a Don Bluth fan. This is one of 3 Don Bluth films that is not a musical.
No, you know what my favorite non-musical Don Bluth film is?
You've already mentioned it, so I'm going to guess it's Landed Before Time.
No, it's The Secret of Nim.
Which is the other one. Which means the question I was going to ask you, you would have known, because I was going to say, do you know what the other 2 are?
I love The Secret of Nim.
Same.
So we had it on Betamax, right? So so I had this repertoire of movies that I would watch on Betamax. And you know what? Now that I'm talking about it, I'm going to spend the rest of the day watching my comfort movies because I just feel like it today. But on the same, because if you remember correctly, Betamax tapes, you could fit like 4 movies on those things.
Yes.
Right? So I had one tape that I watched all the time. And on that tape was The Secret of Nim, The Last Unicorn, The Muppets Take Manhattan, and Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. And I would watch those on repeat. So today, and then there was Legend on the next one.
I like Legend.
That's it. That's it. We're gonna watch The Secret of Nim.
I was not a huge fan of the jug band thing. We watched for you.
Yeah.
But no, listen. It's one out of the list. The rest of them are right up. I'm right up there with you. Secret of Nim.
You like The Muppets Take Manhattan?
Yes, I love the Muppets movies from back then.
Good.
So
good.
So our next fun fact, which I've also already alluded to a little bit, Fox fired the original director after 18 months and $30 million was spent. This was when the movie was going to be live action. When Don Bluth and Gary Goldman were hired, the studio gave the new directors 19 months to produce the film from scratch. So they spent $30 million, didn't like it, fired the director, hired an animator director, and said, make this a cartoon from scratch, go. And they wonder why the movie cost so damn much to make.
Right.
Never mind, I can't even imagine what the salaries would be for that freaking cast. Not that I don't love the people that are in it, but, Jean Garofalo, like you said, 3 or 4 lines, we probably could have paid someone a lot less money to do that.
Right.
It's not like it's a breakout performance for her. Getting now towards the end here, this film was originally going to be released in 1999, but it was moved to the year 2000 after losing release dates to other animated films, including The Iron Giant, the English dub of Pokemon the first movie, Me Too Strikes Back, South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, and Toy Story 2.
All of those movies were way better than this one. I'm
I
just
was
gonna
gonna
say
say wise decision because there's no way you put this movie, because I love this movie, but there's no way you put it up against Toy Story or South Park,
that.
and it does
No.
well.
Right. Sorry, not sorry.
Um,
I
and
mean, come on. South Park had such great lines as I'm not gonna say it.
shut your
It's
fucking
so
face, Uncle Fucker.
you're a boring boner biting bastard, Uncle Fucker. You know, sorry.
plus, I'm a musical fan, so the fact that they made it into a musical,
It was such a good
just so great.
musical.
Um, so our last fun fact, it is also the last way in which Fox shot themselves in the foot. So after the film's opening weekend badly underperformed, Fox decided to pull all advertising from the movie, sealing its fate as a box office failure. So their idea was this movie we've already spent all this money on, didn't do so well on the weekend. We're going to pull all the advertising and just let it ride. But it's the movie's fault the studio collapsed.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you. You're just fucking terrible, Fox Studios.
Do better, Fox Studios.
Do better, Fox Studios.
Oh, wait, you can't because your animation studio is gone. So that's our show. You know what? I was going to say we can plug the reopening of Innsmouth Rag, but that's actually going to come out before this.
The Innsmouth
So,
Rag. Go check
If you're
us
not
out.
a fan of the Innsmouth Rag, go see Jay's other show that I'm the co-host. We basically reverse roles, and check it out. About a week before this episode hits, you can see us talk about Vivarium.
Wait, by the way, since we're just at it, if you're listening to this, go watch Vivarium and be like, "What the fuck?" afterwards, and then tell us about it. Anyway.
Yes. Speaking of telling us about things, be sure to follow us at Jester's Court Pod. You can get that on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Also on TikTok, but that is very new and not much happening there yet. I'm learning TikTok. We're old, okay? Me and Jay are old, and
Yeah, we're pretty old.
we've hit the age of I don't understand this thing the kids are doing, but we're trying. So yeah, that's our program. Join us next week. Do you know what we're going to be watching?
What are we gonna be watching?
Another one of my favorites from the 90s. I just went totally blank. Flatliners.
Oh my god, I love that movie though.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And not the remake, for those of you who are listening. The original 1990 Flatliners.
Right. Not the remake. Because you watch the remake, it's garbage.
I have not watched the remake, and I will probably not, unless we decide to do a comparison for this show. But I will never, on my own volition, go, you know what I want to watch today? How they ruined this movie I loved from the 90s. Guys, that's our show. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Peace out.
Good night.